Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to explore how Amazon invested in solving a problem that most companies don't even see, which is the precious minutes that employees lose while waiting in line for lunch. I'm Rajiv Chopra, VP of Amazon Healthcare, Life Sciences, and Just Walk Out. Let's take a look at the Just Walk Out deployment at the Amazon Fulfillment Center at Bessemer, Alabama.
Innovation here in Amazon isn't just for external customers. We also do it for our internal team members as well.
BIZ201 was a strong candidate for the Just Walk Out technology. We're a fulfillment center in Bessemer, Alabama, and home to just over 4,000 associates.
When we're on break, every last second counts. We want to enjoy our break to the fullest. Before Just Walk Out, it'd get a little crowded, slow, long lines. Could take a couple minutes before you check out and actually enjoy your break. But now with Just Walk Out, it's a breeze. Takes no time at all.
Process is pretty quick. Under 60 seconds, I can go in, grab what I need, and just walk out, tap your payment. You grab what you want, and then you go.
The markets give you an opportunity to be able to make a selection on your food choices, which you have a lot more food choices than we can offer in just a vending machine. The technology was customized based on what we already offer. Everything, our full array of our menu items without having to change anything.
85% of our associates prefer Just Walk Out to normal vending solutions.
I like the traditional store feel, the convenience, the variety, the simple use. All of it.
It makes it easy for me to get what I need and go eat it and go back to work.
We're satisfying customer demand, but also want to make sure people can maximize their downtime, clear their mind, really enjoy themselves while they're at work, so that once they're back at work, they can really focus on delivering for our customers.
At BIZ201, what's important to us is to make smile happen. Because of Just Walk Out technology and there being something that makes their day just a little bit better, we're able to make a smile happen for them.
Being able to bring innovation like this in-house into the FC, we'll bring it into a workspace, a break area. To me, that's just another example of how we're striving to be Earth's best employer.
All right. I'm happy to have this conversation with Jacqueline Richardson. She's the head of strategic initiatives for Amazon's site procurement operations. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Rajiv. Happy to be here. As Rajiv mentioned, I work for site procurement operations, leading our strategic initiatives, really focused on kind of our 3-year plan and where we can take our organization. And specifically, I'm in our global procurement org. And so global procurement, or GPO, really focuses on procuring the goods and services that allow our operations partner to fulfill the customer promise. And that means that we're buying things like the racking and the forklifts that allow us to move our inventory. But it's also the janitorial and the break room services that keep our facilities clean and our associates happy. And so throughout this year, my teams had the opportunity to work with Just Walk Out to be innovative and to actually be launching over 40 markets across our fulfillment centers in our break room experience. So today I'm happy to be here to talk a little bit about our success, not only for our business, but also for our associates.
Well, Jacqueline, Amazon's invested in deploying our most advanced retail technology in our fulfillment centers. Can you tell us why we chose to invest in our employee experience in this way?
Yeah, like many things at Amazon, we like to tie things back to our leadership principles. And we have 16 of them. I won't go through all of them, but 3 come to mind in particular with this opportunity. So the first being strive to be Earth's best employer, and you actually heard it in the video. We have over 300,000 hourly associates that work in our North American fulfillment centers. And these folks spend a lot of time with us. And part of this leadership principle is focused on creating a safer, more productive, higher performing work environment for our people. And so as we think about them and thinking about their day and the tensions that may be in their day, we get to our next principle, customer obsession. And our associates are our customers. They also help us deliver for our customers. So we started thinking through their day and where they may have roadblocks, where they may have challenges through the day, and we kind of pinpointed the break room experience. If you think about it, our associates only have a couple of breaks throughout the day, and that break is really valuable. And often they're taking those breaks with hundreds of their peers. And so if you only have a handful of vending machine type options in any one break room, it's not so much about the transaction time, although we've been able to reduce that, but it's also about the lines that you're waiting in with all of your peers to get your snack to then be able to enjoy your break. And so we get to our last leadership principle that I think about, which is insist on the highest standards. And you actually heard it at Matt's keynote yesterday. If you have the technology and you have the opportunity to take a roadblock back and to make the life for your associates better, why not?
Why not?
Right? Why not make it better? And with Just Walk Out, we have the opportunity to increase our selection flexibility, really increase the opportunities for our associates to get more options, better food choices, and we also have data-driven insights. We also are able to learn about what our associates really want to have on their break and be able to feed that information back to our vendors so that we're matching what our associates want and want to enjoy during their time off.
Okay. And so walk us through the decision internally. Why was it a strategic priority?
So 3 kind of core things as we anchor ourselves in our people, right? And thinking about having that opportunity to make their day a little bit better. And again, why not? And so we think about the alternatives that you have in a break experience, the traditional closed vending, as well as some of the self-scan options. And the challenges with that is that you still have a line. Typically, those transactions are very individual, and people are waiting to make their selection and then make their transaction. It's also typically less of a selection. And so we're thinking through, like, how do we make that better? And Just Walk Out solves all of that for us. You're typically able to move a number of people through each micro market at the same time. And so people are making their selections at the same time in a very efficient manner. You heard some folks on the video mention shorter lines and faster transactions. And then we go to the business side, which is also very important. We were able to reduce our shrink from over 10% in some of our pilot sites to less than 1%. And that's just in our North America fulfillment network. As we expand this into more of our additional sites across the US, we have further opportunity to reduce shrink and ultimately play that savings into reducing the prices for our associates.
Wonderful.
There's actually one additional benefit that I want to speak to is our ability to build and partner with some of our trusted vendors. So we had a really great investment by both our food and beverage partners as well as our Just Walk Out installation partners. And so it took some of the risk for us away because we knew these vendors were invested in the project. They were invested in this going well for us. And so it helped us take that leap of faith, if you will, in this project.
Wonderful. So Jack, this wasn't just an ordinary deployment of Just Walk Out for us. This was the first time that Just Walk Out was deployed in our fulfillment centers. What was it like being a pioneer in this uncharted territory?
It's a great opportunity to partner across a very large organization. Amazon's a big company. We have a lot of different business units, a lot of different functions, and this was an opportunity for us to kind of meet and learn from each other internally as well as externally, thinking through like that partnership with our global vendors. And it was a learning process. We got to learn from each other. Each of us brought a specific knowledge base that was critical to the project. So we were thinking through all of the different angles of what we needed, what we wanted, what our associates needed, and what the sites needed specifically. So great opportunity to bridge and build from there. We also started slow. We piloted in 2 sites with 3 markets. By the end of this year, we'll be in just over 40 markets. And by the end of 2026, we're expecting to have just over 200 markets. So we've learned and we've iterated on every single expansion that we've done and every installation and changed and adjusted accordingly. Okay. One of the big things that we've learned from is our associates. Right? It comes back to our people, and we were very careful to make sure that that messaging was appropriate and very specific so that they understood why we were doing this and the benefit to them, and also taking their feedback and using that in our iterations.
Okay. Were there any surprises, anything that you were not expecting?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Amazon's a big company, and there are a lot of stakeholders that need to be involved in things, and we didn't necessarily have all the right players right up front. But that gave us a great opportunity to learn and to grow. One in particular thing, we learned, or my team learned, more about our IT operations and the infrastructure in our fulfillment centers, probably more than they ever expected to. But that gave us a great opportunity to get to know our IT operations teams and what we needed to put in place for our micro markets to work really well, while not detracting away from our fulfillment centers and their operations. We also had some great learnings on the markets themselves. So if you haven't already had a chance, go down and see the Just Walk Out markets for the merch store. I was there yesterday. Those gates are different than the gates you see in the video. And that was based off of the functionality that we needed, the capabilities we needed these gates to have in our break room experience for fulfillment centers. And that was a learning, and we have iterated on those gates and how we needed them to function. We also kind of iterated on maximizing the space of the markets itself and making sure that we had however we could use as much space as possible for additional coolers, what an additional shelf in each rack would give to us from a capacity standpoint. So we really were expanding the selection for our associates as much as possible in a very succinct space. Space was another concern, and that was feedback that we got with our associates. Even though it may or may not take up any more space than your traditional vending, there is an illusion that the market is bigger and taking up some of their very valued space. And so we needed to make sure that messaging was appropriate, but also that we were considering that as we were building out markets for our break rooms. And then finally, these were big projects, and we needed an investment and a buy-in from our site leadership, because it did require our leaders on site to take away from their day job and help us implement and support and be there for anything that we needed. And so for that, we're very grateful for the pilot sites that we have and the leadership that have since bought in and have expanded with us.
Wonderful. And Jacqueline, for you and your team being customers for the Just Walk Out as a solution, the Just Walk Out team also learned a lot. And so through the experience of deploying 40 plus installations, we've learned on how to make Just Walk Out be more modular, more easily deployed, easy to explain and configure. So I think that's been a shared learning. So thanks for that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another part, I think as we look at how the Just Walk Out technology has delivered. Can you share a little bit on, has it delivered for your associates in the way that you had expected?
Absolutely, and then some. Over 85% of our associates actually prefer these markets. They cite faster lines, more efficient time use of their break time. They actually appreciate moving away from the self-scan options. In some cases, those can be kind of finicky machines. I've experienced it myself at various locations. And so they really bought in and appreciate the markets. In particular, we saw a benefit for our overnight shifts. So in the traditional vending scenarios, we often see stockouts for our overnight shifts. And that's because our vendors may or may not get the information they need to actually restock appropriately. And so then you have folks that are not able and sometimes go hungry potentially on their breaks. With Just Walk Out, our vendors are getting that data real time. And so they can adjust and accommodate accordingly and never allow us to stock out. So every person on every shift has the opportunity to get their beverage, get their snack, and then go about their day afterwards.
Awesome. So definitely improved employee experience. How about any other business metrics? Was there any other outcomes that emerged?
Oh, definitely. So we were able to take transaction times down from about 90 seconds per transaction to just under a minute. We also kind of reduced those lines because you're able to have multiple people in the markets at any one time versus waiting their turn to come up to a vending machine. And again, this is just in one of our networks, our largest network with the most amount of people. But as we move into other site types and maybe more rural areas, there's continued opportunity to reduce that transaction time and also reduce our shrink impact. And I kind of mentioned as we reduce shrink, right, that gives money back to us, and it's something that we're able to pass on to our associates and actually reduce the prices that they're paying in their markets. We're getting smarter at this. And you mentioned the Just Walk Out team is learning. And so it's giving us the opportunity to install for less cost and also do different implementation costs. And we're actually thinking through and working now, we've brought in another stakeholder, our global engineering services team, and they're responsible for actually the design and development of new Amazon sites. So now we're actually putting our Just Walk Out micro markets as like a mainstay, as a standard in our sites going forward, so that you don't have to go back and retrofit later, which again reduces the cost, is just part of it.
Awesome. Jacqueline, apart from efficiency gains and customer experience that you mentioned early on and ROI that we are seeing, what's the story that you can't really measure?
Yeah, it comes back to our people. You know, you heard it in the video a little bit. We want to enjoy our break to the fullest. If you think about our associates, they have long shifts, often 10-hour shifts, most of which they spend on their feet. And so their break may be the only time during their day that they actually get to sit down and get off their feet. And if they're spending all of that break time standing in line, waiting for a beverage or a snack, that's not really doing them any service. So anytime we can make that more efficient, allow them to actually sit down, rest, and get ready and get back to work, then it makes them more productive. Especially as we're moving into, you all don't know, it's our peak period. We just started a week ago after Thanksgiving. And so we're asking a lot of our associates, and we're asking them to work a lot. And anything that we can do to make their day just that much easier is a good thing. We're fueling our associates. We're giving them more selection, wider variety of snacks, in some cases, more fresh options. Often our sites are not close to any additional snack places like a fast food place or whatnot, and so they have to take their snacks on premise. And this is giving them more of those selections so that they can properly fuel their bodies and feel more productive, feel more rested. And it comes back to us noticing the little things. This often, the break room experience and some of the challenges with vending machines is not an Amazon problem, it's a common problem. And many people, it's something that you just accept. But what if we don't? And if we have the opportunity to take a step back and take that roadblock or that challenge away from our associates, think about how it makes our people feel. That we see you, and we see what you do for us every day. We see the challenges that you may have, and we thought of you. And we thought enough of you to use our best technology to make your day a little bit easier. And that goes a really long way, as I mentioned, in this really busy time for our associates.
Wonderful. So Jacqueline, every person here from an organization has some kind of a break room problem. They're either vending machines with limited selection or long lines in a cafeteria. What should they be looking for, from your experience in solving some of these challenges?
Yeah, so we talked specifically about the employee break experience, but this could be used in a lot of different formats. What we did was and we do this often at Amazon, in particular in operations, is observing the process. Standing back and taking a look at the lines that happen during break, how many people exist or are using the break room at any one particular time, where there are bottlenecks, stockouts, maintenance issues, et cetera. I would also say that you should ask, right? What are your employees looking for? What are your customers looking for? What would make their break experience and their work experience overall better? And take that feedback and iterate. The final piece of advice that we learned is making sure you have all the right people in the room and all of the stakeholders involved that you need in order to make the decisions. And that just reduces the rework later if you have all the right folks in the room to give their insights and their needs.
Wonderful. So I think one of the key takeaways is to be customer obsessed. Employee experience is customer experience. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. All right. Today we looked at how Just Walk Out transforms the fulfillment center break rooms, but the technology can also be deployed in retail and food service operations in nearly every environment. And And as you can see, we have deployed this micro markets, as we just heard Jacqueline mention, but unattended stores in universities, cafeterias, convenience locations, concession stands in sports stadiums, as well as you can experience downstairs, RFID technology for team and fan apparel. If you're interested in learning more about Just Walk Out and how the technology can streamline, frictionless commerce and take care of, high throughput or long wait times or unattended delivery experiences, come talk to us. I have members of the team right here. You can talk to us after the session. And if you want to experience the Just Walk Out RFID technology, the AWS merch store is downstairs. Has that technology live, for you to experience. Okay, I think this was a session to just expose how Just Walk Out works. We do have time. Questions for Jacqueline or me or members of my team that are here?